Hey everyone, so when you think about the Indian Constitution, you probably picture this huge, complicated legal document, right? Well, today we're going to look at it in a totally different way. Think of it less like a rule book and more like a story about two very different kinds of promises a nation makes to its people.
But that makes you wonder, are all promises created equal? I mean, really? In a constitution, some promises are these ironclad guarantees that you can literally demand in a court of law. But others, they're more like inspiring goals, the big dreams that guide the nation's future. Let's break down exactly what that means.
You see, at its very heart, the Indian Constitution makes two totally distinct kinds of commitments. The first is a promise about the rights you are absolutely guaranteed to have today. And the second is a promise about the ideal nation that we're all trying to build for tomorrow.
Okay, let's dive into the first kind, which is probably the most powerful type of promise, your enforceable rights. These are the ones that are concrete, they're immediate, and they are completely non-negotiable. We call these fundamental rights, and the best way to think about them is like a binding contract between you and the state. Seriously, if the government tries to infringe on one of these rights, you can actually take them to court and demand justice. The state is held back by these rights. It simply cannot cross these lines. Just look at the language here in Article 24. It doesn't say the state should try to prevent child labor or that it's a nice idea. No, it says no child shall be employed. It's a direct command. It's crystal clear. This is a perfect example of a right you can demand that the courts protect right now.
And now for the second type of promise. This one works in a completely different way. It's not about what the state is forbidden from doing, but it's all about what it is encouraged to do. These are the state's guiding goals.
These are called the directive principles of state policy. So if fundamental rights are the floor, the absolute minimum you're guaranteed, then you can think of the directive principles as the ceiling. They're the high ideals the nation is always reaching for. They're like the country's mission statement, its long-term vision board.
Check out Article 48A. It says the state shall endeavor to protect the environment. Now that word, endeavor, is everything. It signals a super important goal, a direction, but it's not an immediately enforceable command. You can't just sue the government because a particular forest isn't perfectly preserved, you see. It's a direction for policy, not a guaranteed individual right.
So, the really crucial thing to get here is how these two sets of promises balance each other out. One gives you protection, and the other gives the whole country a direction to move in. Let's put them side by side so the difference becomes totally clear. Okay, here's the breakdown. On one side, you have fundamental rights. They're legally enforceable, you can go to court over them, and they protect you as an individual. We often call them negative rights because they tell the state what it can't do to you. On the other side, you have the directive principles. They're aspirational, they're not for the courts. They set duties for the state. They are positive because they say what the state should do, like improve public health or, as we saw, protect the environment.
This slide just nails the concept. A fundamental right is like that signed, legally binding contract. A directive principle, that's your New Year's resolution. It's a really sincere goal. It absolutely guides your actions. But, well, you can't be sued if you have a slice of cake in February.
So why have both? I mean, why not make every single promise a legally enforceable right? The answer really gets to the genius of this whole constitutional balance. It's a system designed for both stability and progress. It creates this constant, healthy tension between the rights we have today and the goals we're shooting for tomorrow.
And that's a fair question, isn't it? If you can't sue the government over them, what's the point of having directive principles at all? Are they just wishful thinking? The answer is a huge, emphatic no. They are incredibly powerful.
Think of them as the Constitution's moral compass. They provide the true north for all new laws that get made. They're the benchmark that we, the voters, can use to judge how a government is performing. And over decades, this compass has guided India pushing for huge laws on everything from education to the environment, slowly but surely shaping the nation into a modern welfare state.
And that leaves us with one final, pretty provocative thought. You see, the line between a goal and a right isn't always permanent. The right to education, for instance, started out as a directive principle, a goal, and was later amended to become a fundamental right. So the real question for us is, which of today's national resolutions will become tomorrow's binding contracts? What do you think is next?